Donald Trump is getting the karma he deserves. All of his plans are backfiring here in the United States and abroad. Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans demanded the deposition of Hillary Clinton relating to the Epstein files. Hillary Clinton's like, let's do it in public. Donald Trump and MAGA are like, nah, let's keep it private. Hillary Clinton answered all questions. She called out Donald Trump and MAGA's hypocrisy. And now the entire country is demanding that Melania be deposed, that Howard Lutnick be deposed, that Donald Trump be deposed. And speaking about Howard Lutnick, you want to talk about the ultimate karma? I'm going to do a whole other video on this. As Hillary Clinton was being deposed in Chappaqua, New York, photos of Howard Lutnick surfaced on Epstein's pedo island with apparently his 16-year-old children, a friend, Michael Lehrman. Epstein, Lutnick is wearing a blue button-down. He wasn't disgusted by Epstein. He's having the time of his life on pedo island. What does Donald Trump and the Department of Justice do? They immediately delete the photo from the Epstein Transparency Act files on the Department of Justice website. Then the Trump regime panics and they shut down the Department of Justice search function on the Epstein Transparency Act, saying, ooh, I guess no one's going to find it. Guess what? People like Jmail and others have archived this stuff, and we've been able to clearly authenticate that is Howard Lutnick on Epstein's pedo island, button down and all, partying it up, having a great time. Absolutely despicable. That's called karma, Donald. But the karma doesn't end there, folks. Donald Trump is getting hit with contempt after contempt after contempt order by federal judges across the country. We're talking about Trump-appointed judges as well. They're sanctioning Donald Trump's DOJ. They're issuing contempt orders. For example, you've got Jason Pulliam, a Trump appointee, is saying, look, you better release these ICE detainees immediately because you're violating their constitutional rights. You're putting people in these concentration camps. What the hell are you doing? I mean, you've got the chief judge in Minnesota, Judge Schultz, out there making powerful orders saying one way or another, I'm going to make ICE comply. I don't care if I have to issue criminal contempt against Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and anyone at the DOJ who is continuing to violate my orders. This is from Judge Schultz right here in Minnesota. This court will continue to do whatever is required to protect the rule of law, including, if necessary, moving to the use of criminal contempt. One way or another, ICE will comply with this court's order. He's the top judge in Minnesota, and Judge Schultz, as Kyle Cheney points out, said the administration has continued defying court orders at a historic clip, and he is furious at Minnesota's U.S. attorney, the Trump sycophantic stooge, for criticizing him and his judges rather than owning the problem. Here's what the top federal judge in Minnesota just wrote. This too appears to be untrue. Attached as Appendix B is a list of additional cases in which ICE has violated court orders, most of which violations occurred after the entry of the January 28th order by this court, despite Rosen's assurances of redoubled efforts to have led to considerable improvement. Appendix B documents 113 additional court orders that ICE has violated in 77 additional cases, again above and beyond the 97 orders that ICE violated in the 66 cases identified in Appendix A. I mean, all of this in the past 30 to 35 days, mind you, in Minnesota. They're violating hundreds of orders. And as Judge Schultz says, if anything is beyond the pale, it's ICE's continued violation of the orders of this court. Increasingly, this court has had to resort to using the threat of civil contempt to force ICE to comply with orders. The court is not aware of another occasion in the history of the United States in which a federal court has had to threaten contempt again and again and again to force the United States government to comply with court orders. And folks, we're not just seeing it obviously in Minnesota, across the country, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in New Jersey, whether it's in West Virginia, whether it's in California, we're seeing order after order like this. I mean, take a look right here. We've got orders out of New Jersey. We've got orders out of Texas. We've got orders everywhere. And the Trump regime's ignoring the constitutional rights of people, it's resulting in people dying. I mean, last year in ICE detention facilities, over 40 deaths that we're aware of, 40 murders by ICE and Border Patrol, Gestapo. Already this year, the number seems to be close to 10 murders by ICE and Border Patrol, Gestapo, detention-related deaths. And then we learned about this horrific story yesterday. So a guy by the name of Nurul Amin Shah Alam, a Burmese refugee, who was detained by ICE and Border Patrol in 2025. He was walking around his neighborhood in 2025 with like a cane. He's blind. Someone reported him and said, hey, there's this guy with dark skin and he's got a cane. So he gets arrested. Then he gets transferred to Border Patrol. He's kept in a detention facility in Buffalo. Then, without notice to his lawyers or his family or anybody, mind you, he's blind, disabled, he's an elderly individual. He's taken by the ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo to a nearby restaurant 5 miles away from his home. He doesn't have a cell phone. They don't contact his family. And then they say that they let him inside this restaurant. And then it turns out that they didn't let him inside the restaurant. The restaurant was locked. And so he was kept outside. Hat tip to the great independent reporters at Investigative Post. They obtained a video. Play the video right now, folks, that Investigative Post got. We've obtained a video of Border Patrol abandoning Nurul Shah Alam, the Buffalo refugee. He's the Burmese migrant living in Buffalo. He was in a detention center in 2025. They didn't call his family. They threw him out in freezing, ice cold weather in Buffalo, blind, disabled. And then they said they let him, the Border Patrol statement was that they let him into a warm restaurant and that he was happy and that's where he wanted to be. Border Patrol claimed the shop was open. Look, you're watching it right now. The doors were locked. Agents never notified family or lawyers. He died 5 days later. He was missing since February 19th. His body was uncovered this week. I mean, how utterly horrific can you get? And Border Patrol tried to cover that up. Cover up after cover up after cover up, and it's all surfacing. We're seeing what this Trump regime is doing. Additional cover-up surfacing as well. More Epstein file cover-ups in addition to disabling the search function, in addition to denying that Howard Lutnick was on the island. This is a big one, as Senator Wyden says. A newly uncovered document has revealed the existence of a mystery Epstein investigation. It was spearheaded by the DEA and involved drug trafficking and money laundering. Epstein was one of 15 targets. The other 14 names are redacted. I've got questions. And as I've said, a lot of the 50 terabytes of documents that have still not been turned over by the Trump regime, I said, those are the financial documents. There is, I believe, a $1.5 to $2 billion money laundering ring adjacent to or parallel to or intersecting with the sex trafficking ring, where Epstein was laundering all of this money with co-conspirators as well. Where are the daily, weekly, monthly financials? When I used to litigate these cases back in the day, I would go through line by line by line in these Ponzi scheme cases. You would analyze it, look for suspicious transactions. Where are those? Turn those over, produce those over. Folks, the cover-up continues, and it's absolutely despicable. And speaking of despicable behavior as well, a few other things I want to point out. Did you hear the story? I'm not even going to play the video, but the White House official TikTok account posted an AI video of U.S. hockey star Brady Tkachuk, and they put AI words in his mouth, calling Canadians, quote, maple syrup eating, you know I don't like to curse, but I need to give you the evidence, maple syrup eating fucks. So the White House, let me just step back. The White House, the President of the United States official account with the White House, posts an AI video of the U.S. hockey star who just won the gold medal, Brady Tkachuk, calling Canadians maple syrup eating fucks. Right? It's the same account that posted images of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama with their heads superimposed on apes. The racist and despicable, but this is what the White House is doing. I don't care what political party you're from. This behavior is abhorrent. And so Kachuk responded and said, it's not my voice. It's not what I'm saying. I would never say that. That's not who I am. I know those words would never come out of my mouth. Yeah, but the White House is posting it. This is the presidency. And this was the point, the main point that we were making after this hockey team won the gold medal. Look, I sit on the Hockey Diversity Board. I sit on a board with numerous NHL players who I speak to on a regular basis. I love hockey. My best friend, Akeem Aliou, is a professional hockey player. You know, for all the people who are like, Will, you can't bro out. You got to always applaud the hockey. I love hockey. I like sports, okay? But at the same time, when I try to teach, people about being a man, it's not about degrading and demeaning others. Just because you win the gold medal, let's lift up everybody. The female hockey team won the gold medal as well. What Donald Trump did in that locker room with Kash Patel, in my opinion, was absolutely despicable by demeaning the women's hockey team and by laughing at them. Why can't we celebrate the men's hockey team and the females hockey team together and make everybody feel included? The female hockey team is incredible. And again, to me, being a man is stepping up and calling Donald Trump out. So I get that Kachuk is like, well, I would never say that, but call out what's happening. The White House, which is supposed to be a voice of moral clarity, is out there putting those words in your mouth to attack Canadians. And think about what message this sends to young people. It's absolutely despicable. And with all of this happening, the United States right now is on the eve of war with Iran, right? I mean, and also what the military generals and what the admirals and people who are in the know are actually saying, though, and warning and leaking to the press, is that the United States does not have the capabilities and resources right now to go to war longer than 10 days. We have a 10-day supply of ammunition. That's it, 10 days, because we're so stretched thin at this point. I'm going to do another video of it this morning, but the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier right now has had major sewage vacuuming issues. The sewage system has exploded. So literally on this aircraft carrier right now, there's like feces, water, and urine water everywhere, and it stinks and it reeks, and they had to go to Greece to get it fixed, and morale is so low because people are now on this ship for like 2 tours and consecutive tours. They've basically been out to sea for nearly a year at this point, and people have missed berths and they've missed family time, and we may be going to war imminently right now. But take a look at these numbers, folks. According to the latest AP NORC, the AP NORC poll, only 60% of Republicans trust Donald Trump a great deal or quite a bit to make the right decision about the use of military force outside the U.S. Within the Republican Party, Trump's cult, only 60% of Republicans trust Donald Trump. On the other hand, only 14% of independents believe Donald Trump will make the right decision regarding use of military force. Just think about that. 14% of independents think that. That's it. 5% of Democrats. Who are those 5% Democrats? I truly wonder if they understood the question. 27% of adults overall trust the commander-in-chief to do the right thing overseas. 27%. And while the United States was in Geneva and they were having, quote unquote negotiations with Iran rejected all of the terms that was delivered by Witkoff and Kushner. But you know what happened yesterday? And I'll talk about this in the video I'm going to do as well. Pakistan went to war against Afghanistan. Yes, the Pakistani Minister of Defense, Khawaja Mohammad Asif, has stated that Pakistan is now at war with Afghanistan, and they're saying Afghanistan is a colony of India, and this is part of its feud with India. So there may be another war again between India and Pakistan, as there's now a fight between Pakistan and Afghanistan. This is Kim Jong-un in North Korea is out there saying he's building up the nuclear arsenal, that he already has nuclear weapons. Remember when Donald Trump pretended to care about that and, I'm being tough on Kim Jong-un? Kim Jong-un says he's got his nukes and he's building it up even further, right? You've got Russia continuing to strike Ukraine and Kharkiv and Kyiv and all those areas. You've got Donald Trump stealing the oil money from Venezuela, putting it into Qatari bank accounts. This is what's happening across the country right now. And the plan that we've heard from the Trump regime, you know what their plan is? Because it's just the United States and Israel. U.S. has no other allies who are supporting this war in Iran. That Israel should strike first, let Iran retaliate, then U.S. could come in the defense of Israel. That's what the plan is. I finally want to point out this as well, because this happened over the past 24 hours. You have the U.S. Undersecretary of State, or Secretary of Defense, rather, Emil Michael. Here's what he posts. It's a shame that Dario Amodei, who is the head of Anthropic, the AI company that runs the Claude system. It is a shame that Dario Amodei is a liar and has a God complex. He wants nothing more than to try to personally control the U.S. military and is okay putting our nation's safety at risk. The Department of War, you mean the Department of Defense, will always adhere to the law but not bend to the whims of any one for-profit tech company. So Anthropic runs the AI system Claude, which is integrated in all of the military technology. It was used in the Venezuela invasion. What Anthropic has said is, military, you can use our AI. You use it however you want to. Use our code, use our software, go for it. Because it's really the most advanced out there, Claude, especially for the military use. But what Anthropic said is, look, you can't use... We're not going to allow you to use Claude, our AI system, our use of AI, for mass domestic surveillance and fully autonomous weapons. Fully autonomous weapons, meaning that the AI decides who lives and who dies without any human controlling the AI itself, that there's no human being behind it. So imagine your Chat GPT just decides if you live or you die, that, these drones and military equipment run by AI, and the AI decides who lives, who dies, and then mass domestic surveillance. But Hegseth wants mass domestic surveillance and fully autonomous weapons. And so what the Anthropic head said, we remain ready to continue our work to support national security, but they go and say, our strong preference is to continue to serve the department and our warfighters with our 2 requested safeguards in place. They want fully autonomous weapons to be protected by having human beings in control, and they don't want mass domestic surveillance. And Anthropic says those are our bright lines. And then the U.S. government is basically saying, well, we're going to invoke the Defense Production Act and seize your AI. We're going to seize your company and use it for fully autonomous killings as well as mass surveillance, or we will declare you a supply chain hazard and ban you. So how could you be both a supply chain hazard and be banned, but be so important that the Defense Production Act would be invoked to seize control of the company? So you see a floundering, a frantic, a panicked Trump regime right now all across all of these areas. Let me know what you think. That's where we're at. Hit subscribe.